Shit, here we go again.
The last time we saw the Oni was way back in 2019. They tried to launch an invasion of the 16 realms and tried to get into Ninjago. Their invasion came to an end when they tried to attack the Monastery of Spinjitzu but were swept up by the Tornado of Creation. Their fate spawned one of the biggest questions and a can of worms. What happened to them? Where did they go? And is there a chance for them to come back? Believe it or not, we actually have an answer to what happened to the Oni. The short answer is, your guess is as good as mine! The showrunner's co-creator, Tommy Andreasen, stated that the fate of the Oni was left intentionally ambiguous and that it's open for interpretation. They could have been sent to the Ethereal Divide, trapped in the underworld, or hell, sent back to the First Realm. It's all left to your own
imagination.
Now look, I know there are some fans out there who don't care for Season 10 or the Oni, and I will admit I'm not a fan of them either, or rather I'm not a fan of how they were utilized. But I'm not here to talk about Season 10 as a whole. I'm here to discuss what might have happened to the Oni after Season 10 and how Dragon's Rising could bring them back in a future season. So, what happened to the Oni after they were swept up by the Tornado of Creation? Well, in my own headcanon, they were all killed. When Lloyd and Garmadon used the Overlord's golden armor, we could see the Oni cower and recoil while getting close to it, similar to how crucifixes, garlic, and holy water serve as deterrents against vampires and demons. They did the same thing when the armor was reforged into the golden weapons, granted to a lesser extent. So given how the powers of creation and golden power act as an Oni repellent, I think it's safe to assume that the Tornado of Creation would have vaporized each bringer of doom into oblivion. So it's possible that the Oni were sent back to the First Realm, or the Tornado of Creation tore open a hole between realms that sent them to the Ethereal Divide. But for now, I think the Departed Realm is the logical choice as their final resting place. If that's the case, then the ninja single-handedly committed interdimensional genocide, which means that there is probably no chance the Oni will come back in Dragon's Rising, and this video is officially over. Alright, see you in the next video. Bye-bye! Just kidding. Ninjago is no stranger to bringing characters back from the dead or whatever fate befell them. Garmadon came back, Pythor came back, Harumi came back, Nia came back, the Overlord came back, the Overlord came back again, came back, Moro came back, Chen came back, came back, Samukai came back. So, if the Oni were to return in a future season of, say, Dragon's Rising, how on earth would Kevin Burke and Doc Wyatt be able to pull it off? Regardless of where the Oni ended up after Season 10, their fates were left ambiguous. It was likely to give the writers an option to bring them back for a future story. And now the perfect option is in front of us. The Merge. So let's say the Oni were sent to a place in the Ethereal Divide or ended up back in the realm of Oni and Dragon, but this time they were unable to leave and try another invasion because of the Source Dragons. Since Dragon's Rising Season 1, we have only seen one Source Dragon in Imperium. Perhaps there were a few other Source Dragons that teamed up with Firstborn and her own clan of dragons to keep an eye on the Oni after Season 10, which makes sense. They attempted to invade and destroy all the realms, so I'm sure the dragons wouldn't want them to do that again. Since the Source Dragons were meant to maintain the barriers of the 16 realms with the Dragon Cores, it would be in their best interest to prevent any future realm-related threat from doing something catastrophic and bringing about the merge prematurely. That would include preventing the Oni from trying a second invasion or causing an incursion.
You caused an incursion, and we're gonna fix it.
Who knows, maybe the writers can say that the Oni invasion is what caused the barriers between the realms to destabilize, which allowed the merge to happen. As to how the Source Dragons would keep the Oni under surveillance, I have no idea. Maybe they were imprisoned in a dark cave, Parallax style, and the Source Dragons were put on guard duty or something. Regardless, the Oni would be kept at bay until the merge happens and everyone is scattered across the new landscape. And since the events of Dragon's Rising Season 1 takes place a certain amount of years after the merge, the Oni might have used that time gap to carve out an area to call their own in one of these corners of the map, but then they decide that now is the time to conquer the rest of the merged realms. Who knows, maybe the blood moon that Season 2 is bringing up will be their wake-up call for their second invasion. And after Season 2 or 3, the ninja run into Garmadon and find out that he's been living among the Oni as their new leader using his newfound abilities of complassion.
That's all you have to say?
I'll admit that's a bit of a stretch and balls deep into tinfoil hat territory, but given how dragons play a huge role in this new series, I wouldn't be surprised if the Oni came back in some major way, since they're basically their counterparts in creation and destruction. Just as long as the writers don't make Source Oni or something, because that would be a little too on the nose and a lot more retconning and lore dumping. As I've said before, I wasn't a fan of how Season 10 wasted the Oni. 4 episodes were not enough to make them compelling or interesting for me. Their designs were cool, but they were barely on screen and they didn't do anything aside from petrifying people with their octopus hentai fetish. Not to mention, we could barely make out what the Omega was saying. Even the head writer of that season, Brady Schutz, stated that he did not want to touch that character again, and he expressed his disappointment over how short March of the Oni was as a whole. So I'm fine with them returning in a future story, but I'm not desperate, you know? Even if I didn't love Season 10 or the Oni, I have faith that the current writers can give them a proper story. If they were able to solve the whole Cloud Kingdom controversy in Season 1, I'm sure they could tell a story that can make us appreciate the not-so-loved elements of March of the Oni. Guess we'll have to wait and see. That's all I have to say on the matter, but I want to hear what you guys think. Do you want to see the Oni return? How do you think they'll come back in Dragon's Rising? Do you think they can? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash those like and subscribe buttons and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!